Let's charge the damn mound because we do have
Charge it.
news to get to, okay? And some of the news that's breaking over the past 24 hours is perfect for you. It's like perfect timing to have you on,
They
okay?
knew I was coming on today. That's
Right? We have, I mean, basically the two things we're going to start with are Yankees Mets related and Reds related.
yeah.
So let's start with the Yankees to the Mets for Luis Severino. Sevy is just trying to experience the Todd father world of playing for both sides, right? And
Yeah,
he was coming off, he'll be the first to tell you, he was super straight up the entire time, a
he
brutal
was.
year. He had an ERA that was well over 6. The Mets give him 1 year, $13 million. And if you're a super casual fan, you're like, huh? 1 year, 13 million bucks for my Mets for a dude that did not pitch well, but you got to look at peripherals. You got to look at the
Yeah.
past. So what do you think about the signing? Because you got to watch him a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a good signing. I think it's very good. You never know. Listen, at the end of the day, it's still New York, okay? And people got to understand that he's playing in some of the biggest crowds, the most electric crowds, and crowds that are not very forgiving. So he's still going to be in the spotlight. He's going to get blown up even more if you want the truth. But I think one word to describe last year's performance was confusing. I think for me, you watch the guy pitch, you're like, man, he's got good stuff and he's getting whacked. Was he tipping pitches? Was his stuff flat? It looked like his fastball was flat, but his slider at times worked really well. So if you don't have that secondary pitch, which he kind of didn't seem to have at the end there, bad things are going to happen. But I do think he needed a change, maybe a smaller market, but at the same time, this is awesome for him. 1 year, 13 million. He's going to the Mets. All of a sudden, Cohen can look like a hero here, just like the Braves do, picking up these pitchers. Like Ronaldo Lopez. All of a sudden, if he becomes that starter they want him to be, this is a huge offseason for Luis, and he needs to figure out some things before he moves on because this is the biggest year of his career. If he doesn't bring back what he has from years ago when I played with him, this could be the final straw for him.
Yeah, and he's young though. He's
Yeah.
29 years old. I mean, and he's had success in the past. I mean, this is a guy stuff wise who was a 1 or a 2 at,
Yeah.
at one point, and he's not 35 years old, you know? So he did get shut down in mid-September too with the oblique strain, which, that's less troublesome than elbow, shoulder, etc. But you try and look for signs like at the end of the season, actually it was kind of his worst pitching. 35 innings, 29 runs to end the season. But still, for me, I think it's a great upside signing for a team that does not have to worry too much about budget. It's a guy that could
Yeah.
really perform for them and turn things around. We've seen this happen with guys too. He's going to Driveline. He went to Driveline. It's the
Yeah.
big spot that a lot of pitchers go to and become a different beast the next year. So he's working on making a change. I know you said he's not switching markets. He spent 8 years with the Yanks. I don't know. I feel like he can handle New York. I feel like he's proved that. I think it was actually like it's mechanics, it's health. For me, he goes to a bigger ballpark. I think that helps. It's much harder. You tell me, much harder to hit a home run in Queens than it is in the Bronx. No,
I'm not certain on that one, to be honest
no.
with you. No, I would have to disagree with you on that. I mean, left center is like almost 400 at Yankee Stadium, and I think it's like 378 if I'm not mistaken for the Mets. I mean, listen, it doesn't matter what the ballpark is. If you're throwing well and you're throwing the Severino, I know he's going to hold guys within any ballpark. So I'm not really worried about how big it is. I'm not worried about if he gives up home runs. I'm worried about if he's getting W's for the team and he's getting through the first couple innings. He wasn't getting through 3 innings in games. So that's the biggest thing. I'm glad he's going to get help. And now I wish him all the best because guess what? He's got another beast ahead of him. Mets are going to be a good team. You got to try and beat those Braves. But at the same time, this is his biggest year of his career. Put everything behind. This is his biggest year. I hope he goes out there and dominates.
Yeah, and if he does, he gets paid. That's what you do. This is a 1 year what they call like a pillow contract.
Yeah.
Okay, because if we looked years back at Severino when he was firing on all cylinders, you were
Mhm.
like, this could be a 150 plus
Yeah.
$1 million dude, right? If he was the guy that we saw from years back, he would have been in that conversation when we're like, oh, where's Jordan Montgomery going, right? And then where's Blake Snell? And then where's Luis Severino?
Yeah.
So he's 29.
And this is like a prime example. like, if and I don't know if he did or not, if they came to him, the Yankees said, "Listen, we wanna sign you 3 years ago to a long-term deal." Guy's like, "Oh, man, wait it out. You'll make, 50, 75 more million." Sometimes if in your mind, like, "Listen, I might should have taken that deal." Those are things you gotta think about your livelihood too, and people are always like, "Oh, you would have made more." Well, listen, this whatever price it could have been, sometimes people should have taken it, and we'll talk about a guy who took a deal just a little bit ago too as we get forward here.
And last thing, and then we got our next guest coming up. For the Mets, they have a lot of work to do with their pitching staff in
Yes.
general. That
Yep.
was clear cut from top to bottom in the front office that they need to rebuild the starting staff. Now they add another starter here, right?
Yes.
Obviously, they had Scherzer and Verlander with the big boys at the top of the rotation. Even the year before that, DeGrom's gone. Like, it's a very different looking rotation. Senga was a great signing. He was fantastic this year, but they're going to do more. Okay,
Yeah.
this is not it.
You remember
I think
remember
they're
when
very in
when
on Yamamoto. What?
remember when Cohen said, "Oh, man, we're not worried about next year," right? Now this I said it from the get-go. I said, "He's gonna say that, but watch out for the offseason." So, I mean, listen, you can only
Dude,
keep a guy down for a little bit until he gets a little more excited. Next thing you know, you get that itch again.
book this. And we talked about this the other day. The Mets are going to win more games this coming season than they did last season. I'm
Oof,
telling you.
oof. All right,
Okay.
all right, all
So
right.
book it, baby. I mean, they had a bad year.